Good
Good
afternoon.
evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good afternoon from Cameroon.
Hi, everyone. Okay,
Good evening.
we're gonna get the session started. Thank you everyone for joining us. If we could put our microphones on mute as we get started and hear from our wonderful presenters, that would be great. We're so excited to welcome you to Global Schools Professional Development Session on lesson planning for the SDGs. We are going to hear from four wonderful speakers today from different countries across the world, sharing about their experiences, their activity ideas, and much more for us. So we're really excited. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat. They can answer them in the chat, or at the end of the session, we're also going to have a question and answer period. So we really appreciate your time. And I'm going to pass it over to Christina Mincheva from the Global Schools team to be our moderator for the session. So Christina, over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining. We'll kick off the session with Jackie. I want to introduce Jackie first. She is an experienced educational leader with extensive expertise in teaching, curriculum design, instructional mentorship, and professional development. Jackie's career has evolved primarily within schools delivering the rigorous, inquiry-driven curriculum framework of the International Baccalaureate Primary Years Program, the PYP. As a dedicated member of the IB Educator Network, she has undertaken key roles including consultant for aspiring PYP schools, team visit leader, serving as a liaison with the IB regional office, and schools being accredited to implement the PYP, and a facilitator for IB workshops. Jackie is passionate about fostering excellence in teaching and committed to mentoring aspiring educators and schools in instructional practices and curriculum design. She speaks 3 languages fluently, English, French, and Spanish, and she has spent most of her life in Switzerland. Jackie, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Christina. Ooh, I have to sit up nice and straight now. Right, so I will get started straight away. We have 15 minutes. I'm somebody who sometimes can speak a little bit quickly, so I'm going to try and slow my speech down a little bit for the benefit of people dialing in from places where maybe English isn't your first language. I will start by sharing my screen. As always, we hope that these things work. Can you see my presentation?
No.
Can you see it or not?
No.
No? Right, so we're going to have to start again. Share. Now?
Yeah, now it works.
Right, great, thank you. In fact, I think I've started on the first slide, so we're good. Anyway, so welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Our brief was lesson planning for the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm going to abbreviate that as SDGs when I speak, just to save a little bit of time as well. I've had my bio, so I'm not going to go into too much about myself. A little bit about the actual presentation I'm going to give you. I like to start with the what, the why, and then the how. The what is fairly obvious for all of you because you've joined a session that is being run by the amazing Global Schools program in terms of the SDGs and using SDGs in education. The why will be a little bit more in depth as to why we need to be using them. And again, not too much time on that. And then a little bit on some lesson planning. And I will give you an example, a very simple lesson that I use in a primary school, but it can be adapted to middle school and senior school, depending on the text you choose, where I've tried to use a literacy lesson, but do it cross-curricular. There is a little something in all my slides, so please look out for them. By the end of the presentation, it'd be nice if somebody noticed a little something that you'll see on pretty much each of my slides. So what are the SDGs? I think if you're joining this session, you probably have a good knowledge and understanding of what the SDGs are, but may not yet be implementing them in your practice. To give a very brief description, it's the 17 global goals for sustainability by 2030. We are in 2025, so it's not that far away. And I think we all still have lots of work to do. and to meet the challenges, knowing that every challenge is also an opportunity. So the why. Why should we integrate SDGs into lesson plans? From my perspective, it's been part of my life, I think, forever, even before I was a teacher. There are several reasons why I feel this, and these are fairly generalized, but as an educator myself, so I do want to say these are the ones that most speak to me. Obviously, there are more than the ones I'm going to share. First one would be global citizens. When we're doing SDGs, it affects every single person on our planet. We have shared ownership of our planet, and that's hopefully what we are doing with our students. Doesn't mean that they're going to solve all the problems of the planet, but they have shared ownership of our planet and therefore have some kind of responsibility they can bring to working towards the SDGs. We have also what we call critical thinkers and problem solvers. So when I'm doing my lesson planning, I've always got these two in the back of my mind. I want the children to be local but global. I also want them to identify an issue. I work with 6, 7-year-olds. The issue that I'm going to be addressing with 6, 7-year-olds is going to speak to them. I'm not going to be addressing an issue that might speak to older students, but then we're going to scale it up depending what level of school you're teaching at. You also want to think about real world issues. Within a school dynamic, there's always little things that little children can be fixing in terms of little problems and thinking about. And then obviously the older they get, the bigger the real world issue. In a primary school, we primarily want them just to already love our planet, take care of our planet, be kind to the people, be kind to the animals. So we're going to start from that perspective rather than throw possibly all the problems that might be there. So then they'll identify little problems that they can fix. And then the final one for me is anything I do with the SDGs is always going to have an interdisciplinary approach or transdisciplinary. So we're not looking at subjects in isolation. We're putting subjects together. So for example, the literacy lesson I'm going to share will also have science and social studies. It's going to go across disciplines. I think the children in schools nowadays are benefiting from advances in technology whereby they know that things do not just sit by themselves. So just to give an overview, I'm not going to read these, but these are the sorts of things that I've just said. I'm just leaving them in my slideshow. I'm not sure if this slideshow will be shared with others, but you can take note of just the little descriptors. Principles, again, relevance, the link of SDGs to student lives. If we look at students, they could be learners of any age. We want their learning to be active. We want their, sorry, I think I've just missed one slide. Did it jump over? Sorry, I'm just going to quickly go back. No, we're good. We want it to be relevant. We want it to be active. We want them to be engaged. We want collaboration. Collaboration can be within our classroom setting. Again, that shared ownership, or it can be with your immediate community, classroom, school, local community. And then as the children get older, young adults can be working with NGOs or other experts. And again, you want that approach whereby you're working and collaborating with teachers who are specialists who can actually connect to what you're doing in the classroom. You also want to think about assessment. So how are we measuring or reflecting on what it is we're doing? This is where we have our metacognition for the children. It makes sense of their learning. The SDGs can be very overwhelming. When I first started with global schools, SDGs were not something that were overwhelming for me. However, as soon as I started, I thought, oh my gosh, I've got to do all of them. But actually, you will do all of them, but not necessarily as they stand, with their numbers. And what I like to do is have a little graphic, which I use with my trainee teachers, which is on the bottom, you're going to have these ones here, which speak to basically every single child in a primary school. they can attach themselves to life on land. It makes sense. Life in water, it makes sense. And then as we go up through the school, middle school, we're going to start to look at things which are a little bit more complex. And again, that doesn't mean that primary school students can't do this, but it makes more sense to be looking at certain things the older the children are getting. And when you get to high school, again, they're going to be slightly more complex. Complex doesn't mean it's not accessible to younger children, but you're going to build a little bit, I sort of see it a little bit as a pyramid, with at the top really that partnership. Your partnership is with your students, your parents, your schools, your organizations. And for those of you who are advocates or mentors with the Global Schools Program, the partnership is amazing in terms of resources and what we can be doing to help with our SDGs. And I like to put the SDGs kind of in the middle of all of them. And this is a graphic that I have up in my classroom, and the children are often referring to it. The ones along the bottom are the ones that we are always looking out for, and they'll put little tags on them when we talk about them or when we refer to them. So if we go for a lesson, this would be my lesson overview. Again, I've not gone into a lot of detail here. I'm going to take a literacy lesson. So always I'm going to have my learning objectives. What do I want my students to know? So there's always some facts that they need to know. And I'll go into this in a little minute when I share the actual story. What are the concepts, the sort of transferable big ideas that are timeless? Again, concepts can go across disciplines. What am I looking for in terms of success criteria? I might be looking for the fact that they can explain how they've identified an SDG that connects to a story. So I'm going to use a story in a minute and just share this with you. We want them to be, looking at problems and finding creative solutions to them. We want them to have application and quality in anything they might produce. We're going to assess them. Again, I've put 3 examples. A story rewrite would not be something I would do with the younger students. I might do a poster. A letter to a leader, again, that's something that we can do in middle school or in the high school. Having said that, we have done it even in primary school where a letter has gone to the principal about bringing in some new play equipment, for example. So a little bit, this is like a real overview. If I then go into my lesson, okay, so here's my lesson, which is Tippy and Jellybean. Now, I'm sure all of you remember the horrific bushfires that were in Australia, where there was a beautiful story and yet absolutely tragic whilst it was happening, which was a mommy koala bear trying to save its baby. And luckily, the rescuers managed to get both the mother koala and Jellybean, the little one, back to safety, back to the vet, back to nature once they'd been reinstated and cured. So when I read this story about Tippy and Jellybean, I'm always going to, and it is a story with a happy ending because we're in primary school, but you could use this at any level with older students as well. When I use this story, before we start, I ask the children, but it doesn't happen on lesson 1. This is something you build in with every lesson. I'll ask them to identify which SDG. So they'll always say, oh, life on land. They know that koalas live on land and in trees, and the fire was in the bushfire. They know that it's to do with climate, the reason why we had the fires. So these are the ones they'll identify, and they'll put these little stickers. So I have a picture of the book. I make little stickers to put on books when we're reading them. They know that it's about education, because in order to have people to save the koalas, you need doctors and vets and nurses. But also when you're having that there is gender equality in our education system, that, everybody can access being a vet or a nurse or a helper, that there is that equality of aspiring to do something with your qualifications. And then if you look at, where are we? Koalas, bushfires, and those all lead in. So the children are able to verbalize these. And when they're verbalizing it, that's when they're getting their deeper thinking. They will actually amaze you. If you're not really geared to doing this yet, you're going to start with something little. But the children, even in primary school, are amazing with identifying. And in fact, they can identify more SDGs in a story than many adults, but it takes training. It doesn't happen overnight. So you've got to bring it in deliberately initially. And then now, for example, with my class at this time of year in March, I don't need to say anything. They know we do this with every single story that I bring in. But I've done also things about science. I've done projects about Australia. So they're looking at geography. So all those are going to be integrated into a lesson on literacy, which is just the vehicle. I'm conscious of the time. So thoughts a little bit. SDGs are about making learning meaningful and real world without thinking that our students, even our adolescent students, they're not there to fix the problems. They're there to help solve and find solutions. We have to create lesson plans that engage the students in a way where they're thinking about different concepts and how they go across disciplines. Collaboration, have them working together. If they produce something together, which they then share with others, they have ownership of it and they celebrate it. And that every teacher, doesn't matter which subject area, if you're a specialist, if you're a homeroom teacher, if you're somebody who's teaching art, every teacher can contribute to a more sustainable future by using the SDGs in their lesson planning. Start small before going big. For those of you who are new to teaching, don't try and do everything in one go. Start small, then go bigger. Use the SDGs as a lens for your planning. So whenever you're planning something, use one of the SDGs to help you plan your lesson. So where am I going to touch on this? Where are the students going to see this? And that was my little, on most of my slides, I had a little lens, because a lens is what reminds us, if I'm doing mathematics, I can still use the lens of an SDG. If I'm doing art, I can use the lens of an SDG. I don't necessarily have to just use one, I can use several. But again, start small, then go big. For all of you joining, if you're experienced or inexperienced with putting SDGs in, choose one SDG to start with, relevant to your subject area. Again, go small. Encourage student-led projects. Share best practice with others. This is an amazing opportunity that global schools are giving you because you've connected with professionals from all around the world. What more could you want? Create those connections. Those of you on the program with them, speak to other educators. This is where we save time and we collaborate. Really look at knowledge, skills, and concepts, and make sure that we're actually checking in that we are doing what we say we're doing, which is planning our lesson with an SDG or several SDGs as the lens. I've put Global Schools Program there to remind you that there are a huge amount of resources on their site. And even the UN website also, lots of really good resources. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. Go there, use them. There are lots of puzzle games you can play where you're matching SDG to definitions at all levels. I think that's my time, if I'm not wrong. Are we doing okay, Christina?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much, Jackie. Thank you for...
Okay, so I'm looking at my time. I've got about 18 minutes. I was asked to do 15. So really just thank you to all of you for joining today. That is really the richest thing you could be doing in developing your teaching practice, and keep those SDGs as your lens. Thank you.
Thank you, Jackie. Thank you for the wonderful presentation. Next up, we have Qatar Mohammed. Qatar is a passionate education leader, mentor, and advocate for student empowerment, currently serving as the Student Leadership Development Manager at the Aga Khan Academy in Mombasa. She's committed to service learning, leadership development, and experiential education, ensuring students gain the skills, confidence, and mindset to create meaningful change in their communities. An alumna of the Academy, Qatar has been instrumental in expanding student development programs across Africa, leading initiatives in internships, extracurriculars, and leadership training. She's a UN Global Schools advocate, a member of the Association of International Schools in Africa Service Learning Design Team, and part of the Just Maps, an EU Erasmus Plus project focused on global citizenship education. Currently, she's also co-leading the first ever IB Festival of Hope in Africa, bringing together students to drive meaningful action. Under her leadership, the Academy earned the Association of International Schools in Africa Whole School Service Learning Award in 2024 and Outstanding Service Project Award in 2025. She has also successfully hosted a 3-day service learning conference for African educators. Beyond her work, Qatar finds joy in swimming, traveling, and exploring new food spots, always seeking fresh perspectives and inspiration in the world around her. Thank you so much, Qatar.
Wow. That's so much information. Hi, everyone. Greetings from Mombasa, Kenya. And yeah, just like Jacqueline, let me see if I can do this sharing of my screen. Okay. 1 second. Can you all see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. So thank you, everyone, and welcome to the session. And I'm not going to start with talking about what SDGs are. I think Jacqueline did an amazing job for the introduction. So I thought of taking a little bit different approach, because when Amanda emailed me and said, "Oh, can you speak about integrating?" Immediately I was like, and I thought, wait, hold up. When you were an advocate, you really struggled in the beginning. So I'm taking a different lens in. We need to take some steps back. So before we go into the integrating of these SDGs in the lesson plan, we really need to start thinking first in your school, in your organization, in your NGO, what defines you? Because I feel like once you know what your core is, what your definition is, what your mission is, what your vision is, then you will see which approach you want to take the SDGs. Because we're not all on the same page. Some people might be in an introductory level, meaning they don't have anything in SDGs in there, like they don't have anything in global citizenship, in the mission, in the vision, like they're literally just starting. And then you will have some people who already have some of these things. They're already talking about global citizenship. They're already having all these things, either in the mission, either in the unit outcomes. So you as an educator, where are you starting from? Because I feel like SDGs is not a one shoe fit all. So you need to understand where you're coming from. So for example, if you're coming from the introductory level, it's not even about creating SDGs for your students. This is about creating an introductory level to your leaders. Because if you don't even have this in your mission, in your vision, in your statements, meaning it's not just introducing it to your students, meaning your leaders, your teachers, they have no idea. So your route is going to be a different route. Let's say you have some of this in your mission and in your vision. Your route is going to be an enhancement route because you're already doing it. So probably you're doing it in an implicit way. So now you want to connect the dots and see, how do I move from implicit and how do I move it into an explicit way? How do I make students connect these dots? So wherever you are, you need to understand which level, first of all, that you're coming in. So, like I said, look at your mission. Do you have anything in regards to global citizenship around that? Are we talking about anything in regards to that in your school, in your organization? Then from that, you will know where you need to start. For example, if you have your service learning outcomes. Oh, and another thing I wanted to mostly stress in my talk and conversation, I want to talk mostly to the teachers who are non-teachers, like you are a coordinator, you are a service learning coordinator, maybe you are a community engagement coordinator, maybe you're an extracurricular activity coordinator, because I feel so much sometimes is focused on classroom, and then some of us like coordinators are wondering, okay, so where do we start? So most of my talk is going to be around the people who are not in classrooms, but you can still implement this in your classrooms, okay? So for example, and then whenever I'm speaking, I will refer back to what we do in the Aga Khan Academy, so that can give you like a visualization. So for example, if we look at the vision and the mission at the Aga Khan Academy Mombasa, it states that the Aga Khan Academy Mombasa aims to develop future leaders with skills, knowledge, and disposition to support positive societal development, focusing on intellectual curiosity, social consciousness, and global citizenship. So this already tells you that we are already having this as part of our pillar and part of our core. So if I'm doing my lesson plan, I'm coming in with the lens of how am I now enhancing it? How am I creating those critical thinkers to connect the dots? How am I making my students really visualize and see this? Then this could be exactly what your company believes in. So some of you might not even be on this level. So when you are creating your lessons, that this really helps you to know where to start. Because I think I really personally struggled with where do I start? Because it is so easy to do the fixation method, where you just want to fix this SDGs in every unit that you're doing, in every project that you're doing, because it looks like all glitz and glam. But before we're fixing, we need to student needs to understand as well. So, okay. Again, it goes back to your philosophies. What does your institution, what does your organization, what philosophy drives you? So again, I will use our philosophy. So if you see the Aga Khan Academy is under the umbrella of the Aga Khan Development Network, meaning we fall under a big umbrella. So maybe your organization also has philosophies that fall under big umbrella. It could be your organization is just having just one umbrella, which is your school, your institution, whatever it is, what is it that defines that? So for example, with us, we're under the umbrella of Aga Khan Development Network, meaning how we do things, we are following an AKDN approach, meaning, for example, projects that we're doing, are these projects community-centered? Are these projects long-term and sustainable? Are these projects identifying root causes and all of that? So those philosophies that you have as institutions, they will help you guide you in when you're creating these lesson plans. For me, this is such an amazing thing that I love to do. So this is a framework that I use when I'm enhancing the SDGs in my classes or in my service learning, or even when we're training teachers, because part of my role is also to empower other educators who are classroom teachers. So I like to use the LEAD framework, whereby we learn, evolve, adapt, and deliver. So when we are talking to students in the learning side, this is where students are educating themselves. But here it can also start with you as the educator. You are educating yourself on what SDGs are, because I cannot empower if I'm not empowered. So I need to start by learning. I need to start by educating myself about SDGs. I need to start students educating themselves. I need students to be curious. I need students to want to read about these SDGs. I want them to ask questions. I want them to listen. So this is where you get the curiosity. This is where it builds up. And you can even start by identifying small local issues that they want to connect with. So this is where you build the curiosity. We're learning. Once we learn, then we want to evolve. And I think also Jacqueline put this really nicely, because as an educator, you also want to connect with experts on the ground who are currently doing this. So for example, the global school programs, that's one of them. So those are connectors those are experts that you'd want to maybe read about, have courses with them, so that you're also empowering yourself. You're also evolving. Your students are also evolving. Things like Compass Education. Compass Education is also another program that really does like system thinking, and it helps us understand the systems and the thinking behind some of these SDGs. So you're really looking at these core things of how can I get my kids to understand better. So now they've been curious, they've learned, now they're evolving by putting themselves in and connecting with different partners. This could be through different schools. It could be like what I talked about, different organization. And right now there's so many free courses, there's so many free programs that you can do that can help these students keep evolving. Once they evolve, then they have to adapt, meaning this is where change comes in. And student needs to remain flexible in this area. I'll give you an example. Let's say kids are learning life below water. They have to change and adapt some of the things and lifestyles that they're doing. If you're used to brushing your teeth and the water is just running out as you keep brushing your teeth, once you get to understand that, you're brushing your teeth. Next thing you know, you're closing the tap, you're continuing to brush your teeth, and then you open the tap more. So adapting is where change is happening. This is where students have and are willing to stay flexible and want to create change. Then comes in the deliver, where you see students take the small steps. So we learn, we evolve, we adopt, and then we deliver. Remember, your main focus is to create impact. It's not about we want to fix this, we want to put it in our mission, we want to put it in our vision, we want to say all these fancy things that we're doing. We want to really create impact. And if you want to create impact, you need to look at 3 steps or 4 steps backwards to see how else can I come in? How else can I really empower myself to know that this is the direction that we're going? Because remember, it's all about aligning who you are, what your vision is, what your institution believes in, to what you are trying to achieve through these SDGs. Then through that, I believe your lesson plans are going to be so much impactful, because a lesson plan is bigger than just a lesson plan. It's everything that's around that lesson plan. It's around the values, it's around the community, it's around your mission. So all of these things will help you, guide you in creating your lesson plan. So today I didn't come here to show you a lesson plan. I came here so that you can start thinking back steps before you create this lesson plan. So what are these practical strategies that you need to know before you start even going through the direction of the lesson plan? So defining who you are, listening to what people are doing, understanding it, take them through lead, and then now start integrating that. And it could be integrating that through an enhancement level, it could be integrating that to the introductory level, but whatever you're doing, align it to who you are. And as Jacqueline said, these are things that now SDGs come to support and help you drive this mission and vision. So yeah, guys, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Qatar. Thank you for the incredible presentation. Our next speaker is Juan Ignacio. Juan is a global schools advocate from Argentina with a degree in environmental management, a teaching certificate, and a master's degree in climate change. Currently, he's pursuing his postgraduate studies in science education, with 26 years of experience teaching natural science in a range of settings, including public and private schools, urban and rural communities, and prison contexts. He has consistently incorporated education for sustainability into his lessons. Additionally, he has led interdisciplinary projects on climate change, desertification, and ozone layer depletion. Since 2017, he has been engaged in an intercultural environmental assessment focusing on the SDGs, working closely with rural students and their communities. Juan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you, Amanda, Christine, and all Global School Program team for this amazing opportunity to share some key ideas related to my teaching practice within education for sustainability and education for global and planetary citizenship. I'm sorry for my English because it's not my first language. So my English is not the best, but I will try my best. Okay. I am sharing my screen. So first, I think it's important to contextualize my teaching practice because working for sustainability from the global north is not the same as working from the global south. So it's like my backstage following my previous speaker. I am a teacher from the global south, committed to the pursuit of planetary sustainability from Chubut, a province in southern Argentina. For the last 10 years, I've been working in rural secondary education. Rural secondary education in my province has a very specific structure. The distance between rural villages are vast, are enormous. There are a few students in them, and it's not always possible to have qualified teachers available all the time. Therefore, we have a central school located in the cities. I belong to rural secondary school central number 7712, and small rural schools in the central meseta region of the province, and 3 rural schools in a farm region near a city named Trelew. My headquarters school is based in the capital city of my province and has a team of 20 itinerant teachers who visit rural school to meet with students. We have very few students, about 100. If we add up all 8 rural areas at the rural schools, but there are villages with only 3 secondary school students. The pedagogical works involves itinerant teachers like myself and tutors. Tutors are teachers also, but they accompany the student daily in the activities we plan. Since face-to-face pedagogical time with the student is very short, we have virtual classes to teach and support the learning processes. Attending the characteristics of our work, lesson plans are essential to achieve the learning objectives because they must be clear and concrete enough for the tutors to put them into action with the students. A very important feature of my educational context is its interculturality. Many of my students in the Meseta region belong to indigenous people, Mapuche, Tehuelche communities, and most of my students on farms are children of Bolivian migrants who came to Argentina primarily to work as farmers. I teach natural science in all secondary school years, and sustainability is a cross-cutting theme in my teaching approach. Some key points of my approach are, I work with a spiral curricula where the pedagogical content is expanded and depended on as student progress through the different academic cycles. The scientific knowledge is taught in constantly dialogue with the popular and ancestral knowledge. Because they and their families have a lot of ancestral and popular knowledge. Each topic I teach is an opportunity to explore the ancestral knowledge passed down in the communities. This allows for an interesting dialogue of knowledge between students, their families, and the communities. The elderly gain prominence when their children, the grandchildren, ask them about their past and the environment history of the rural villages where they have lived for generations. The knowledge built each year is so valuable that it would be a shame if it weren't leveraged in subsequent years. Therefore, it's very important for me to document the knowledge built by students each year and revisit with new cohorts of students. Rural communities are very, very small. but there are always valuable people. For example, scientists, community leaders, and indigenous authorities. We can, who can contribute with knowledge and experiences. So I always look for opportunities to involve them in different activities. Finally, information and communication technologies are also important in my classes. We use various technological resources like virtual classes and developing different learning products, share what we've learned with other students over time. The theoretical foundation of my pedagogical proposal is the pedagogy of Paulo Freire. Paulo Freire was a Brazilian teacher whose pedagogy was highly influential in Latin America and other parts of the world. From this emerged ecopedagogy and a new idea of citizenship known as planetary citizenship, which complements and expands the scope of global citizenship. Some basic principles that guide this pedagogical approach are: first, change the world is possible and necessary because we are world transforming subject. Transforming the world is the essence of being human. For this reason, we don't wait for others to change the world in justice. It's we working with others who are committed to changing the world. Also, actions for change happens locally but have a global impact, just as global actions have as a local impact. Therefore, it's key to enable global-local dialogue and system thinking to understand the complex relationship involved in building planetary sustainability. Reinforcing local knowledge and ancestral wisdom enrich the scientific knowledge taught in school. It's about learning from our ancestors to reconnect with our planet and build a more harmonious relationship. Understanding the complexity of the environment problems involves uncovering the oppressive relationship that the economic system imposes on people and that are the root of social inequalities and their environmental impacts. From this perspective, the earth is much more than soil, water, and air. It's a living being with which we are interconnected and interdependent. This is a key point because it broadens our awareness. Everything we do, wherever we are, affects the earth. We could summarize all this saying that the great challenge is to think globally and locally to generate local and global action with planetary awareness. How do all these profound ideas translate into concrete classroom lessons in rural secondary school? I want to share some of my ongoing projects. The most important project I've been working with my rural students since 2017 is a participatory environment assessment process for rural communities. I'm very proud of the project. Until now, we have no precedent of this type. So how can we build sustainability in Chubut's rural communities if we don't understand the current situation? So with my student, we began touring the villages and making the invisible visible. We started identifying environment problems and studying their complexity. How do they affect us? How do they affect the planet? What is the origin of this problem? How long have they been affecting the villages? To answer these questions, we must delve into science, but also into the communities. In this way, the different people in the villages and their voices and the indigenous elders and leaders help us build the environmental history of the place. And something very important, how do these environmental problems hinder achievement sustainability? Which SDGs are threatened? What action for change can we generate? It's clear that with this project, we are helping to achieve SDG 3, 4, 6, 11, and 17. In this evaluation process, it's important to bring in other voices, even outside the rural villages where my students live. It's important to broaden the perspective to build global and planetary citizenship. Therefore, we investigate the environmental problems of the other places of the rural villages. A very valuable resource I found is the book Pachamama, Our Earth, Our Future, which was written by children and teenagers from all over the world. They also did their environmental assessment and made short essays, drawings, paintings, everything is in that book. So we use these contributions to understand that there are common problems among rural villages around the world, and that there are successful actions around the world that can inspire us to create our own local actions. All of this work is translated into local action projects like recycling workshops, cleanup days, political management, various actions that involve the whole community. In parallel, each progress made in the process is written on a Padlet, a virtual world that is a powerful tool that enables communication between different cohorts of students. It helps students learn from peer assessments and provide feedback each year. Another very interesting project also linked to the one above is the effort to reconnect rural communities with wild animals. The main economic activity in the villages where I teach is sheep farming. Wild animals, ancient inhabitants of the area, have become enemies of the farmers because they kill the sheep for food. The challenge then is to find a more harmonious relationship between the communities and these native animals. Therefore, we've created a space for dialogue bringing together different voices, farming families, conservation scientists, and indigenous leaders. And we are learning about the importance of these animals for the balance of nature. Finally, another experience in development is directly related to SDG 3 and 4. Comprehensive sexuality education is essential for the holistic development of individuals. We identify several myths and traditions that hinder the creation of healthy relationships and responsible sexual lives. Therefore, we also promote a dialogue of knowledge to reflect on and explore new ways of understanding our bodies and relating to others. We've created podcasts and audiovisual resources to promote this reflection across the broader community. That's all, a brief example of how we work in rural education for sustainability and global and planetary citizenship from Latin America. I love to connect my students and their work with yours, so please don't hesitate to contact me if you think we can collaborate on joint project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Juan. And please don't worry about your English ever again. It's perfect. Your presentation.
Thank you,
is
sorry.
Next speaker, next educator that we have is Batu. Batu is an very experienced educator. She has launched her course on Pedago called Embrace the Power of Inclusion to promote equity in learning. She was also honored as an Advocate of the Month in the Global Schools program. She believes in personal development and has completed numerous courses to support her teaching and the holistic development of learners. She received the title of Best Lecturer from the International Women's Peace Group, Global Region 3. In addition, she was a finalist from the Asia region and received the International Teaching Award from Pearson UK Qualifications. She encourages her students to take part in volunteer work. To promote sustainability, she also highlights the SDG goals in her lessons and training, and she appreciates sustainability wherever she witnesses it. She believes that we're all learners and that it is important to support each other and keep learning, especially as in the 21st century, education has become one of the strongest platforms for change. She runs the group Every Child is Special on Facebook to promote educational awareness and also manages women empowerment on Facebook as well. Batu, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to be introduced. As my well-known educators over here have also already highlighted the importance of ESDs, so I will be just sharing my screen first of all with you all, and please let me know if you can clearly see my screen. So over here, my emphasis will be today, I'm not going to go into the depth of the ESD now, because as all the educators over here has already told us and shared. I hope you all can hear me clearly.
We can.
Okay. So moving on from the importance, as already covered, and short of time is also there considering your all important time. So I'm going to emphasize over here is the importance of that ESD should be integrated across the pre-primary, primary, lower secondary, higher secondary, and even beyond that in the university levels as well. And further, the benefits is it promotes learner engagements and learning relevant and meaningful, encourages collaborations, partnerships, community involvement. It makes you a responsible citizen also. And ESD basically is something which you do not need to look separately into it. Further, if we look at the core ESD competencies, I love this part because it makes you a critical thinker and it helps the learners to become good thinkers, because thinking is what is important in learning. Basically, what is learning? Learning is thinking. It starts with thinking. If I ask this question from all of you, what is learning? What will you do? You will start thinking. So basically, learning is thinking. And with the help of this integrating ESD competencies, we make our learners not only good thinkers, but future leaders as well. Because I always tell in my trainings to every delegate that you're not teaching a student, you're teaching generations. Keep that in mind. So your teaching impacts. So EST competencies make your holistic development, critical thinking, emotional, cognitive skills very strong. It makes self-awareness. And how to integrate EST is not a very big deal because it's already present in your syllabus, in your curriculums is already there. Because mostly the challenge comes is how to integrate. But I believe it's already there when you're teaching your sciences, when you're teaching literacy, when you're teaching numeracy, whether you're teaching history, geography, environmental studies, whatever subjects. Because every subject will fall in quality education. Secondly, when we are having physical exercises or a little bit meditation during our lessons, we can consider that in well-being. Moreover, moving on to the subjects, they all are interrelated with each other, like we say in STEM curriculum, science, technology, environmental studies, and mathematics joined together. So we don't need to avoid, like do separately something and go all the way to work hard. It's already there. What you need to highlight is just to highlight in your planners. This is more important. You are going to highlight, make it visible to the learners and to your other teachers, staff, community that this is there. We were teaching, but now we are looking to it towards in a different perspective about it, because it's all real sustainability issues are already there. Now, considering an example of science, let's say level 6 to 8 or even the primary levels, we all teach ecosystems, food chains, and topic like this. So this topic already includes about the climate action also, because the habitats are affected by the climate. It's already includes about life below water or life on land, because food chain is interrelated. So food web is interrelated. So we are not going separately. We are already there. We already have this EST thing in our lessons, but designing the lesson plan, you need to highlight it. Further, you need to keep your objectives over here that identify and describe the components of an ecosystem, biotic or biotic, value teaching and delivering, explain the flow of energy, and similarly analyze human impact. And similarly, I encourage the use of AI in your lesson plans. I encourage the use of flashcards, activities which can engage the learners, hands-on activities also, because this will give them the kinesthetic approach. You should have the visual approach. You should have the auditory approach, all the approach, because we need to promote equity in the classroom. You all might be having diverse learners. Some of them might be slow also. Some of them are gifted also. You never know which thing will touch the learner and will be able to ease to teach them. Further, that you should always show them some clips also, if it's possible, some stories. Let's talk about the cartoon Rio. It's very interesting. If you could show that, then it will help them to understand the importance of their habitat, how Rio was fighting to save the forest. Similarly, there are many more, and you can show different activities. Then think and pair share activities in which students can engage together, discuss the components of the ecosystem. Then mind mapping, in which they can write there whatever the ideas they have. You can even ask them to stick on the sticky notes and stick it on your board, and you can make a clown and ask them to insert what they can understand and what they need to know separately. This will also help them, that even you also, that what you need to still help on. Further, in the end, when you ask them to draw a food chain, or you can just have some some flashcards and draw a food chain with that and remove one of the species from it and let them think over it. What will happen? You are disturbing the food chain. You're disturbing the ecosystem now. What is happening? Over there, they will start thinking. Then connect them with the SDG goals. That this is one of the goals. Life below land, life on land, life below seawater. What can we do to save them? You can show them some of the stories of polar bears also, and about how the ice is melting, how we all are getting affected. Then ask them about how we can protect the ecosystem. You can have some short quizzes with them, and which will help you to understand their clearing. And if someone is having difficulties in doing the quizzes, ask them to orally speak in discussions, use visuals to organize and recall the information. Along with that, you can connect with them different also. Again, I will emphasize that your in your school, wherever you're teaching or delivering, and even the trainers also, you need to keep all this approach of visual learners, kinesthetic learners as well, so that every learner, whoever is present in your classroom or in your training sessions, will benefit from it. Because these are very attractive, it catches your attention while delivering it. There are numerous resources present on Global Schools programs. There are many lessons which you can always take help from it and design your own. So it is very important to highlight. For example, I'm showing you a picture over here. This penguin is crying. Ask them to think, why is she crying? What is happening around? You can ask them certain questions. Let the learners think about it. And then what can we do? I also emphasize that ESG fosters critical thinking and problem solving in the skills. It promotes interdisciplinary learning, enhances the cultural awareness also, and empathy as well. And one of the very important goals of SDG, which I'm also related with, is peace education, because instilling peace education also helps to avoid the war conflicts in your classrooms as well and in future also. And try to keep environmental safe things in your classroom settings as well, whether it's primary, whether it's secondary. This will also help them to be connected with the nature. Love them, take them outdoor, it's outside the classrooms. Let them, sit outdoor in the class and have that open classroom environment where they can actually feel the beauty of this learning. So ESG actually fosters all that. This is a lesson plan which I took part in a competition in Oxford, climate change, and I designed a lesson plan for the higher levels. And I got a certificate from that. So similarly, there are more competitions coming, and you all are now global advocates as well. And promoting sustainability, I encourage you to share your views globally also. So I designed this in which I actually introduced about the measuring food insecurity and how water management is also related with it, and what activities can be done in the senior levels, and what conclusions can be given by involving your learners into your solution. It's very important that you must involve and take the learners into it. Before you ever start your lesson, please remember, try to keep some icebreaker activities. You can have fun games, bingo games, or they're on the Global Schools program platform as well, and numerous sites as well. This will engage them, make them active, they will enjoy, and you will have a healthy chatting atmosphere with your classroom, with your students. They will enjoy, oh, my teacher is so cool, she played games with us. And then you can then move on to what you wanted to take them to. In activities, when they even this KWL activity, what I know, what I want to know, and what I learn. You can always ask your learner first about a certain topic. They will, because trust me, there are something which is priorly already given to them. They all know about it. If you ask them that should we move the flowers out of the plants, they will say, no, it's not a nice thing. Flower will lose the beauty. Similarly, there's something which already learners know. What we are highlighting is looking into their prior knowledge and not taking them forward, highlighting to the UNSTS goals. So this I designed in a very detailed manner. It was a whole detailed planner which cannot be covered obviously in one day, but just to share with all of my friends over here, I would like to say that while designing and delivering the lesson to your leadership team or your schools, you can always talk into the depth about the word sustain. What is sustain? So what is meant by sustainability? When we talk about sustainable forestry, when we talk about sustainable fishing, what is basically sustain? Because we need to save the resources for our future generations. It is very important. Earth has blessed us with numerous resources, and uncountable blessed we are. Like Mr. Gandhi has said, that Earth has numerous resources to fulfill the needs of the people. Unfortunately, not the desires. Because what we are doing, we are over extracting them, we are overusing them, we are exploiting some of the resources. So that is what need to be addressed. So you need to emphasize the word sustain also. And why are these goals crucial? What are the key objectives? And why that the nation needs? It's not only one particular country, it's talking about the global issue. Like you can share the example of COVID-19, it happened globally and how people were impacted with it. Similarly, to control many things and future natural disasters, we need to, especially global warming, we all are witnessing. Like in my country, Pakistan also, the rain duration has changed now. Sometimes in some parts of my part is in Karachi, it's raining, but other parts is not having the rain. So students were asking me about it. So I told them, see, this is all global change. This is climate change. This is happening. Another issue is also food insecurity, and water management, because we need clean water. And there's no separate water. Water is being recycled again and again. So it is very important to save the water and water management issues. You can share them some resources, some sites, and talk about the sustainable resources with the water as well. Understanding food security is very important because with food, obviously, we live. Food is one of the prior importance in our life. The quality education, food, shelter, all these are the quality of life indicators. But food security is also related with water also. And all this food insecurity is also related with the agriculture part also. That or how they are also related. I always I have made a project in my school in which my students took part, and we had a bake sale and we collected fund and we donated to share the meal activity, which actually donates worldwide. Like in many places, you can always look into that app if you want to. So these things also connect the learners with the real voluntary things also, make them good citizens as well. Hunger is a very, very global issue. So if you're talking about hunger, so I have just given an example, like to identify malnutrition, examine its cause and effects, and you can show them some of the places where this is being happening and some of the victims of this malnutrition as well, and what results with it: poverty, climate change, conflict. Show them about Sahara African deserts. You can even show that how this is being resolved by sharing some of the action poverty programs taken by the food security. FAO site, if you go there, you will see that all the majority of the countries are there and they are working towards the goal. So as the time is short, I'm not going into the depth of it, but if you need these resources from me also, you can always email the Global Schools Program and share them separately with you. Then you can have some short quizzes and with the learners, see their knowledge, because they all enjoy. You can team them up, see how much which you're tutoring them, which you're talking about. Are they able to grasp even or not? Time to dish out some feedback from the learners, reinforce, discuss all the points covered so far. Students to sticky notes, paste them in their books, paste them on the thread. Ask them what I know, what I don't know, and make a mind map of all learned information. Let learners explain and discuss, because learners are not, trust me, this 21st century learners are born with artificial intelligence. They are very, very smart. So even they will ask you some questions which even you might not have the answer for. You need to look into it. So being the teachers, now I also call them as mentors also. We need to help them and we need to equip ourselves with all the current knowledge. So similarly, for the seniors, they can design some causes for food security, world hunger, some graphics like this, which will also attract them and relate them, interrelated, and how these SDG goals are being related together. And how to measure the food insecurity. Global hunger index actually helps you to measure it, and you can check your country's global GHI on the platform over there, and you can see and what your country is able to do. This will connect your learners to the real living scenarios, and they will think about it. What will happen? Oh, we are losing it. What will happen? We might lose. We are sitting at home, relaxing, watching TV. We don't even know what's happening around, and then it will just trigger us. So you need to wake them up. You need to show them. You need to make them responsible citizens. So there are many numerous sites filled with the data of global hunger index and what can be done to resolve it. Further, how to measure this, you can even ask them about the quantitative metrics. You can talk about the severity of the scales and categorizing into different areas, in the rural areas, in the urban areas. You can talk about that food access index, affordability, and quantity of food within the communities, offering insights into the accessibility, nutritious food options are there. Now, similarly, all these steps will help them to foster the look, and food security is also dependent with the climate change, because obviously rain is one of the important factor for your agriculture. So with agriculture and food security, discuss what's understood first, the prior knowledge of the food security, then connect them with the agriculture part, moving on with the irrigation, importance of water, and how they can be thinking about what can be done, what are HYV seeds and what are the impacts, and how these chemical fertilizers are polluting our rivers and environment, what can be done to save this water scarcity. You can show them some case studies of some famous places, case study of Canada also, background, and then factors contributed to the food security. You can keep one success factor also and one factor where still they are having challenges. Let the learners design. They are very good in using ChatGPT and the AI these days. You can teach them how, you can't avoid them. In one of my training, one of the delegate was asking me, ma'am, how can I ask my learners not to use AI or ChatGPT? I said, you can't do that, but you need to teach them how to use that. That is matter because this is the time where AI is everywhere. Similarly, country with food insecurity, South Sudan, you can show a case study about it, a conclusion related to it, what could be done, how environmental challenges, poor infrastructure and economic stability will be addressed. What is this to a country doing? This will also increase their knowledge. Then about the water management. Why? Because water is a very important source. We all need water. So how clean water and sanitation SDG goals were related with food security. Then I took you to the climate change, and now I'm coming to the water part over here. So they all are interrelated with each other. So you can talk about this, about the sanitation strategies and technologies to save. I made it a little bit attractive and animated because I love doing all that. And it grabs the attention of not only the teachers, the trainers, even the students. They also love that. So it actually holds their attention also towards your teaching skills. So understanding water as a natural source, you can talk about, you can show some important scenarios of UNICEF organ wash water scarcity also. There are many things and what effects are there, drought, pollution, excess challenging, floods, what are the benefits of the floods also, by the way, there are benefits as well. But we need to store the water in dams and reservoirs to control. Similarly, you can share many case studies like I've shared over here, water pollution in Ganges River, India, Flint water crisis in Michigan, and what other things other case studies they can find about and how all these are important and how these things also affects your economy also, the GDP and the GNP of the country. You can engage students in critical discussions on causes, impacts, responses to these water crises. This is very important, especially the senior learners. And let them have some group discussion together, make some projects, 3D projects. They can use some animations. They can make some PowerPoint presentations on it, and they can present in front of you. Then they can even go and present and come and present in Global Schools program over here. Now, Ages of Globalization is also giving opportunities to youth, Sustainable Development Goals, SDG, and also giving opportunity to the youth. Let them come, debate, speak about it on these issues, because from the schools you're going to help them, and then to teach them about methods to save the water efficiency, what is the meaning, then move on and give them some ideas about irrigation methods, some management practices for it, campaigns going around. What is world doing? There are so many organizations working for these things. You can highlight through your school and teaching the role and encourage the role of responsibility to the learner. Then in the end, you can talk about the solution, implementations, and some role play activity in which one of them can be a water management person, some can be the effective victims. They can show a role play, something which will attract the part. You can write a small skit on it. You can ask them to deliver that.
Excuse me, Batul?
Yes.
Just saying we're at the 15-minute time. So if you can conclude soon, and then we'll have some more stuff at the end. So thank you so much.
Okay. So all these were very important goals which I just designed, and I tried to help you out to understand. There's many resources there which you can even see and understand. So similarly, I designed a climate change also. So I'm just moving it fast to just show it to you because the time is less now. So individual and group activities, engage your learners. And thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to deliver the lesson plan as time is short. So take action, time to shake a leg, and now it's time to take action. Thank you.
Thank you, Batul. Since we're running out of time, instead of a Q&A session, can each of the 4 educators just share one piece of advice to the people that are on the call? And Batul, we can share with you just one short sentence on what people should integrate into their lesson planning?
ESG is a never-ending journey and it's everywhere. And my advice is that being a teacher, in your actions also, ESG should be reflected. No matter what, show with your actions also. Thank you.
Qatar?
That was so much information. I think for me, my advice is going back to what I said, what defines you? Start small, think big, zoom out before you zoom in. So look at your missions and everything, and then from that, create what impact you want to do through the SDG support. So zoom out before you zoom in. That's my advice.
Jackie?
I think I'll just go with what I left people with, is that when you're doing your lesson planning, if you're wanting to target SDGs, then use that as your lens, looking into what you're doing, and have a good think about what's going to come out, because the purpose of education ultimately should be action. The action does not need to be very big, but it needs to be meaningful. So that would be my takeaway.
Juan?
Yes, so difficult. For me, the main challenge is making bridges, a bridge between the global and local, and from local to global. Starting the step back following Kotar, no? The following back is understanding the context where we work, where we teach. Understanding the context is key for significant results.
Amazing. Thank you so much, everyone. And I'm sure a lot of people will contact you with many questions after this session. And Amanda will do the closing remarks.
I just want to say thank you so much to all of the presenters today. I think I learned a lot as well. I'm sure everyone on the call did. Thank you for your time, for preparing the sessions. I think it was a very rich conversation with a lot of different ideas. Apologies, we don't have time to do a live Q&A, but if you all feel comfortable sharing maybe your LinkedIn in the chat, I'm sure there's many ways we can make follow-up connections from here. We always share the recording on the Global Schools Program YouTube, so you can find Global Schools Program on YouTube, and we always share updates in our monthly newsletter with the resources, and the next one comes out April 15th, around the 15th of each month. So we also encourage you to go to globalschoolsprogram.org and sign up for our newsletter so you can get the resources directly to you and learn about our upcoming sessions. So we thank you all for joining us today. We hope to keep building this great community around sustainable development for educators and more. And once again, thank you so much to our speakers. Thank you, Christina, for moderating as well. And we hope to see you all at the next session we'll be hosting. Stay tuned for announcements on that on our socials and in our newsletter, like I said. So thank you so much, everyone. Have a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Thank you, Anand. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.